All right. Welcome to Sarcasm Liberty live stream. I'm Josh. I'm going to be hosting tonight. What I wanted to do tonight is this kind of was born out of a conversation from we were having on Twitter, me and a few people about I made this one post. It was this guy who was like posting to this girl, like sending messages to this girl, like like asking for nudes. Oh, Maya joined us. Hey, your second plan must have worked. Hi. I'm just doing.
I created a thing in my Discord that I'm just keeping private that only I can access, and I'm using it as like a cloud.
Okay. I just we just started going live, so I'm gonna finish the intro and then I'll introduce both of you, and then we'll go from there. Awesome. So yeah, the initial thing, it was this guy was like trying to get nudes from this girl, and he was saying something like saying you won't send nudes out of self-respect is stupid. And like, you should feel flattered that I'm asking you for nudes. I could go find nudes of like any celebrity and I'm asking you. So you should take it as a compliment. I'm like, that's so creepy and just gross. And then this other one, it was from a girl that was like saying like it's fun to date a guy with anxiety. And I found this one like personally disgusting since I have anxiety issues. But she was like, it's fun to date with a guy with anxiety because you can manipulate him and like be a horrible person and then make him feel like he's the one that was at fault and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's just horrible. So I was watching all these videos of these like neck beards and nice girls, nice guys, which the nice girl, nice guy thing is they act like these really nice people. And as soon as they get like the slightest bit of rejection or somebody's like, oh, well, I'm in a relationship, they flip out and they're like, well, you're ugly anyway. You're just a bitch and all this stuff like that. And they like flip out on the person. And then they complain that like nobody gives them a chance and they're really a nice person. It's like, oh yeah, you sound like it. Then there's the incels, and for those of you who don't know, that's involuntary celibate, which is people who are basically so bad at like relationships that they are incapable of getting into one, and they just become very bitter and stuff about it and like kind of start to blame everybody else but them. It's actually I don't know, going down that rabbit hole is pretty frightening actually. It's like some of those people like are in desperate need of some psychological help. But I don't know, it opened up this whole discussion. Everybody started like talking about stories, and I was like, I have some crazy stories of people I've had interactions with. Maya messaged me directly. Amos said he has a good story. So I'm glad that both of you were able to join tonight. We might get joined on by at least one more person later. She hasn't got back to me yet, but hopefully we'll see her pop up. So with me tonight, I have Amos Joseph. So anybody who's a regular on the channel should know him by now. He does the Shitlord Preachers podcast, him and Brooke. And it was actually one of the first guest spots I did was on his show. So he's a really good friend of the channel. We always love having him on. And Maya hasn't been on for a while. She's been on a couple times on our channel. And she's a really good person too. She has, the name of your channel is Haya, it's Maya, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's got a really good YouTube channel too. It's one of my favorites. I love watching the commentary she has on things. She always has some really good insight, and she always manages to make it very entertaining as well. So real quick, before you guys go into anything, Amos first, if you want to plug your channel real quick, and then Maya, I'll give you a chance to.
Basically, it's just, the show is Shitlord Preachers. It's at my channel at Amos Joseph. Starting tomorrow, Brooke and myself will be recording our first episode, which got picked up by Think Liberty. So,
And yeah, for those of you who don't know, Think Liberty, actually, both me and Jason, the founders for Sarcasm, Sarcasm and Liberty, like Jason started from Think Liberty, and I haven't actually done any work for Think Liberty, but I'm like pretty close with a lot of those people. So, they're really good people, and like them getting picked up, that's a huge deal for them. I'm actually like really excited for Amos and Brooke because
we'll be resetting the episode count to 1 again, and then it'll be like a continuation, like I guess going from like an independent to being part of their podcast network. So yeah.
And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to start doing it right now, is I'm going to go ahead and put links to your guys' channels in the description as well. So,
Okay.
Maya, if you want to go ahead and plug your channel real quick. Oh, Amos, real quick. If you want to plug your Twitter or any other social media.
At Amos Joe, AMOSJOE. That's
okay.
Me.
All right. Maya, go ahead.
All right. I do sort of, I guess, comedy based on political topics. I just try to find, silly things that maybe are frustrating and maybe just sad, because the state of state of politics, like, nowadays is like it's difficult to even take it seriously. So I just try to sort of laugh at how insane everything is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I try to be funny, try to give commentary, and yeah, I guess.
Yeah, no, and that's, like, I would say to everybody watching, right now and in the future, go check out their channels. I'm going to make sure I have links in the description. If not right now, I will get them updated as soon as I can. But they're both channels, I'm subscribed to, and I watch as frequently as I'm able to. So
which is probably not very frequently in my case, since I haven't uploaded in like a month.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest with you, Maya. I actually go back and rewatch certain videos. So I find some entertaining enough that I have videos I'll go back and rewatch every now and then on different things. And you have some ones that just crack me up, so I always go back and rewatch here and there. But
and I do have another video coming out really soon, like
awesome.
A couple of days. But yeah.
Great. No, that's good. So okay, well, we got the kind of introductions out of the way. So Maya, I'm gonna let you go first, because you were telling me a story. You gave me like a couple screenshots of something you were talking about, something that happened to you at MythCon.
Yeah, I was. Do you want me to go first? Because I'm still doing my makeup.
Oh, okay. Well, Amos, do you want to go, or do you want me to kind of jump in with one of my stories, or how do you guys want to do this?
So, I guess, with the theme being creepy guys, psycho girls, I only have one real story. It's pretty much, yeah. Anyways, my first relationship, and most recent one, actually. So I've only ever had one serious relationship and it went through the full cycle, I guess. Save actually getting married and divorced. So I basically, for those of you who maybe don't know my background too much, so this is way back when, kind of the origin of the name Shitlord Preachers. Brooke and myself would do the stream where we used to be preachers, and part of that was we spoke at just events and stuff like that at churches. And we did a conference. It was a week-long conference, and I was one of 15 speakers or something. It was just really packed. 400 some people came to this church to stay the whole time, come see us speak and stuff. I met this girl, and she was very much attracted to kind of that. Hey, I'm demonstrating just sort of, I'm a minister and preacher, and she wanted to kind of date a guy like that. So we hit it off at the just talking, just as kind of friendly and stuff. It quickly turned into a relationship. So this was 2013. So August 2013 we meet. October of 2013, my dad dies, and we start dating. So already kind of an issue there, where I'm pretty much suffering a loss, going through grieving, while also going through a honeymoon phase of dating her. Mentally, it's not good for me, but it's more so what happened afterwards. So basically we went.
Just if I could jump in, to start with, everything was just, seemed on the level. She seemed good and everything.
Yeah.
There was no red flags to start with, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's what I've just something I've said with my best friend. He in a relationship for 20 years, 5 kids, red flags sometimes, but he kind of put them to the side, and then the crazy just jumps up after a while, and it just hits you in the face.
Yeah.
But,
yep. So basically,
yeah, I wanted to make sure that was established. That like you weren't seeing red flags to start with.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Cool. I'll let you
keep. So we go on and we start growing really close. So imagine this timeline here. We went from meeting in August, dating in October, engaged by February, with a wedding planned for August.
Okay, that's What? Like one more time. Run through that timeline again.
But from the time we met till the time we were planning on getting married was 1 year's time.
Okay.
we met.
Just, like me and my wife. We actually got married on like exactly to the date a year after we started dating, which was like a month after we had met each other. So this time frame isn't too much to me, but yeah, I can see where some people.
This is a year from meeting. This isn't even dating yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me and my wife, it was a year and a month.
And
yeah, no, I understand.
I live in Minnesota. She lives in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that whole thing.
Yeah.
It was a long distance too.
How long was it long distance, if you don't mind me asking?
Between October and February.
Okay. So
I proposed in February, and she moved here in June, with the wedding hoping to happen in August. So
wait,
skipping through.
Just for context, when you say she moved, did she move in with you or just move close to you?
So the plan was after the wedding, we would move it. We had an apartment set up to move into, like after that. I mean, she and I, although we were we were kind of going down that Christian path, and we weren't too traditional at the same time.
Okay.
So we'll just say it got hot and heavy quickly.
Okay. No, yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm like, here I am pretty much skipping over a grieving process, immediately jumping into a relationship, honeymoon phase. She was BPD, this whole borderline personality, this whole time. I picked up some things, I found out like her father, apparently literally abused her as a child. And they had only in the last 10 years or so started going through family counseling and therapy, that they got over that. Her dad was an awesome guy. When I met him, I met the whole family. They all liked me. The whole thing, all that. So after we moved in together, so here's where it gets interesting. So it's about June, July. We're coming close to the wedding. We had a lot planned out. She even bought the wedding dress and all that. My mom actually gave her, paid for half of the price of the wedding dress as a wedding gift. As well as gave her some jewelry. So in my background, my mom is Taiwanese. My mom and my grandmother bought her some Chinese style jewelry, also as part of a gift.
Okay.
Gave all that to her. So June, July comes in. She starts talking about having second thoughts about the wedding. And I'm kind of let's just, I'm still adamant, well, we all this is happening, we can work through this. And she starts admitting to me that she used to have this guy friend that she's still friends with since high school, and always had a slight crush on him, never pursued that, and had been talking to him.
Just for context, this just kind of came up out of nowhere. Was it a gradual thing? How did that come up?
I had heard about this guy, and I knew that she had some feelings for him in the past, and so my thought process was just some guy. I'm obviously the guy right now, and he's just some guy from the past.
Understandable.
Apparently, she was having second thoughts. She starts talking to him. So we postponed the wedding. We talked to the minister that was getting us married. It's actually a really good friend of mine. And he kind of like helps talk us through some stuff. And we choose to, okay, postpone for the time being. See what happens. We still move in together. And it just starts getting worse. So we're not as intimate anymore. I start noticing this starts happening. I'm coming home from work and she'll be either on the phone, on Skype, or on something talking to that guy. And she would quickly end the call. Now, there was never any sign of like any sort of physical cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually admitted later on there was no physical cheating. But it was.
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be physical.
It was emotional. Yeah, it was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's something like I'm not a psychologist, but like my wife is. So like I know certain things from things that she's talked about, like from a psychology standpoint. Like it is considered cheating. Like it doesn't have to be physical. Like you can cheat with your partner or your spouse online. Like it's completely possible.
Like you're flirting, but like non-ironically flirting.
Yeah, I mean, like it's very possible. It's not really. We kind of, I think we tend to make the separation between like online and in person, and there is a separation. I mean, there's no physical contact, but
I've heard of cheating where people just get really into talking to each other,
mm-hmm.
and they're sending each other nudes.
Yeah, I mean, like there's all kinds of stuff. Like people be sending nudes, or they just like start sexting or something. Like there's all kinds of stuff, or even there's just like there's a term for it, and maybe I could ask my wife; she might remember. But like there is a term for like where it's just like it's not even like sexual. It's just like weird, like emotional connection that you get with somebody that like you don't.
Yeah, it's like I've heard it called emotional cheating.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is kind of happening, and this is like my first relationship. So I'm seeing it, but the gears aren't turning right, and I'm not really seeing it. I'm not realizing it. So we're pretty much going from like we moved in together in August, and we broke up by December. I mean, it had already been downhill for a while. So basically. We had like talked about taking a break. I actually wait. So her birthday was like towards the end of the year, and I took her to a place. So I did this whole thing, like take her out to eat, bought her a nice gift, did all this stuff, like gave her a really nice date kind of thing. And we go home, and she starts telling me like she wants to pay me back, and I'm like, it's your birthday, why would you pay me back? And she starts throwing out the word breakup, and I'm like, hold on, let's try taking a break. And I kind of I gave in a little. Again, this is all my first time. Yeah. And I just said, like, let's take a break. I said, you go back to Ohio for about 6 months and just cool off a bit. We'll take care of things one step at a time. And I guess it was a bit of a compromise of mine where I said, we can see other people, but nothing serious.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's what she said?
I said that.
Okay.
So the first day of this break, she already has a date with someone from work. With a guy at work that I didn't even know about.
It's not even that guy, like the guy she was talking to?
No, it's just some guy at work.
That's weird, yeah.
So she goes that night, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. No, this is where I got a little weird, but then it's somewhat understandable. I got a little weird about it. She goes on this date, and knowing like when she usually goes to bed and all this stuff, I was figuring she'll be back at a certain time, whatever. Like she's like the whole plan was she's gonna move back to Ohio for like 6 months. So this is like the first day. So she goes on a date with this guy. She doesn't. I don't hear from her. I'm like texting her, "Hey, where are you?" Called her, "Where are you?" Facebook, "Where are you?" Because like it's way past when she's usually home for anything.
And just for like, I would say out there, because you know I do feel like some people would be like, okay, you sound like you're being clingy or you're being like stalkerish, but like no, like this is somebody like
this is literally the first day we went on a break.
Exactly.
It's completely cut off.
It sounds legit. Like it does sound like you had some legit concerns. You were worried. I don't think that sounds like you were in the wrong at all to be like, hey, what's going on?
I even like, she told me the name of the guy, and I was straight up like, he's got to know where she is. So I found him on Facebook and actually messaged him, "Is she with you?" No response. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to sleep. 5 a.m, she comes in to the room, wakes me up, and says, "You embarrassed me."
She says that?
She says that. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "I was having such a great time with him. You kept calling me. You kept texting me. And you even messaged him?" She's like, "How could you do that to me?" And I'm like, so I explained to her, like, I know who you are. Like, you don't tell me where you are. And I said, we literally were just officially, I guess, dating yesterday. So then she starts getting like really serious with this guy. And I'm just, within the week, I was like, we're done. I just like break off. We're not, no break, nothing. We're done. So she starts dating this guy. So here's where it gets really weird, because this triggers a whole bunch of stuff with her. So I'll tell you, we broke up pretty much 2 days before Christmas of 2014.
Real quick, just for those, because I can't recall if you did give us a timeline for this or not. Is it okay if I ask like about how long ago this was for you?
So this was Christmas 2014.
Okay, so about 4 years, roughly.
Almost 4 years ago.
Okay. I just wanted to give like viewers kind of a reference,
so
they would know.
August 2013. August 2013, we meet. October 2013, we're dating. February of 2014, we're engaged. For an August wedding, which was postponed, we still moved in together late July, early August, which then the breakup took place in December. So, also she's a little over 2 years older than me.
Okay.
Breakup happens. I'm done with her. She dates this guy.
The guy from the work?
The guy from work starts dating him very seriously. And she actually even told me, like, they were straight up having sex, like, right away. And I'm just like, whatever. You know, we're done. And so they date for 3 weeks. And he dies.
Wait, say it again.
They date for 3 weeks, and he dies.
Okay, so I didn't miss you. He like legit died.
He died. Yep. Jesus. He was about the same age as her. No drugs. Not killed. Literally, his heart, like, I don't know, like you hear of like young people, no conditions whatsoever. Just something happens in their heart where they literally just
crazy
drop
shit happens. Man.
Like they'll be like a marathon runner dropping dead, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's dead. So she's calling me in the middle of the night. I'm at work. Telling me about the whole thing.
So she kind of like runs right back to you as soon as.
Well, no, telling me what's going on. Like. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is it Brugada syndrome? Is that what it is? That killed that guy?
I don't know. She said she never found out. Like there was police there the whole time she was talking to me. I'd offered like, do you want me to meet you somewhere? Like,
just real quick, Maya, for the viewers, do you want to elaborate on what you said?
Oh, my dad died when I was 4, and it was Brugada syndrome, which is basically just there's no warnings. It's just a straight up like heart attack.
Okay.
And there's no symptoms like prior to that. And and I'm actually like I have to get like blood tests and things, or I did, but then they like lost the results, so I don't actually know if I've inherited it.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, I'm like looking it up right now. Yeah, it's a condition that causes disruption of the heart's normal rhythm. Specifically, disorder can lead to irregular heartbeats in the heart's lower chambers. Yeah, so yeah, it can just.
Anyway, so he dropped dead. And she's calling me, not like coming back, but like she just doesn't know where to go to because I'm like,
yeah.
And so she's doing this whole thing. I'm like, do you want me to meet up? Are you doing okay? She's like, no, I don't know. She's like, I got to take care of all this stuff. So there's like a mutual friend of ours comes down and goes to the guy's wake and meets her, consoles her and stuff and all that. So this is coming into about February. So this is kind of an interesting conversation, interesting thing that happened. So I'm like never seeing her. I didn't see her at all or anything. And February comes around. I'm getting my taxes done, by the way, and my family actually does tax. Their accountants. So I get my taxes done for free. So while doing this, my uncle says, "Hey, what's the guy's name? Let me look it up." I heard about this. Types it in, finds his obituary on the paper. She is listed as his fiance in the obituary.
Oh, and that's
3 weeks of dating.
Like, if that was a misprint or was that confirmed or?
So I called her on it and was like, what the hell is this? I still have the ring. I haven't even sold back the diamond.
Damn.
So it was just crazy, like weird. And she's like, well, we were really close. And like, he told his parents that he thought I was the one and they wanted to honor his memory that way. And I had no objection to it. And I'm like, what? I mean, there was that. And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
During that 3-week period after we broke up, when he was still alive, I actually I messaged her sister to say like, hey, like, what's your parents' number? Can I call them? Because they had just learned about the breakup, and so I was going to call at least her father to just apologize to him. I kind of felt bad, I mean, it's on her, but I felt bad. I just called him. I said, hey, I just, I don't know what happened. It's tough to explain. I said, I feel really sorry. I really liked you guys. I was looking forward to being part of the family, but it just didn't work out. I just wanted to say kind of I'm sorry and kind of a goodbye. And he goes, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, she had all these idealistic, things about, how a relationship works. She was kind of thinking the knight in shining armor, just, she had a lot of very unrealistic expectations of me that her dad tried to like straighten her out with. Like really, you expect him to be like this and he's acting this way and you're complaining? Like that's just, you can't expect like the perfect man that's just going to be everything you want him to be. Like he's there for you. Like, be glad that, he's still sticking with you at this point. Anyways. So, her name was on the lease of our apartment. We still had a few months left on it, and I was pushing for her to like pay her fair. I pretty much was like, "All right, you want to get out?" I said, "You're paying half the rent. I'll pay half, and I will tell the landlord to go find you. If you don't pay it, that's up to you." I said, "Your name's on the lease." She didn't like that. I would bug her to pay her share of the car insurance money because we had a joint coverage plan. She didn't like that either. She starts thinking, she starts getting more and more vicious with me. I think she slapped me once.
Damn.
Never slapped me before. She was like, why are you being like this to me? I said, because you broke my heart. And she goes, well, you're an asshole. And I'm like, she's never called me that. I mean, there was flags that I just never picked up on. So, for example, Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving we had together while we were still together, we were in the car. We had to go find something at a store on the day of Thanksgiving, which is difficult enough as it is to buy something.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like running a little late to my mom's house for Thanksgiving. On our way there, she was screaming in the car at me, saying, I don't know why the fuck we're going to your mom's house. No one in your family likes me. You know, I think it's like they're all just going to give me the cold shoulder. I don't, you know, they don't love me. They don't care about me. We go there. I'm like, you know, at the door, give my mom a hug. Hey, how are you? I whisper to my mom's ear in Chinese, she's having a bad day. Show her all the love you can. Mm-hmm. My mom's just like, yeah, sure, yeah. Obviously, they love her.
Yeah, yeah.
She's watching Frozen with my siblings. She's playing cards with my grandparents. Everyone's wanting to talk to her. We leave, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, see, it wasn't so bad. Everyone does like you. Yeah, I don't know. She always gets really mad and thinks everyone else is the problem. Then we go into a situation where everyone else is not the problem, and then I kind of show her like, see, I told you so. And she was just kind of, oh, like, we went to go hang out with another couple. They were really good-looking people, and she immediately told me, I think good-looking people are fake.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, we get there, and they're, like, talking to her, and she does photography. You do photography? Oh, that's so cool. Look at all these pictures, you know, so-and-so took it. And then they're, like, giving her all this attention. And I'm like, see, it's not so bad. Yeah, like, she just had all this.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, like when you're in that deep of a relationship, like red flags, you tend to write them off too. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, like for me, the last serious relationship I had before I met my wife, you know, like there were red flags every day, and like, you know, like I would legitimately sometimes rationalize it as like, I don't want to like waste all this time I've invested in this relationship, you know, by breaking up. And I knew like, you know, you can recognize, like deep down in your heart, you can recognize the flags, but you start to rationalize it. You overlook.
Oh things. Yeah.
You're in love. You know, you're in love, and it's like you don't think reasonably sometimes. So yeah.
But this whole time, I pretty much had to snap. Give her. There was a backlash from me basically where she was giving me all this crap about how I was not doing this. I'm not like when I found out of all the things she said about me to other people, it was like I was the worst human being in the world. When yes, I did make mistakes, but she made it all out to be like it was all my fault. Like for people who knew me that she talked to about, they were like, some of my friends actually said they were disgusted with how oblivious she was of like essentially, you know, who I was, what I was doing. She just like was very immature about how she viewed a relationship was supposed to go. She was kind of thinking of like a guy that was going to serve her every need, and you know, he's never going to be horny when you're not horny, and he's just going to turn his sex drive on and off at will. Like if you come home and you're looking really pretty, he's just going to not do it. And he, you know, it was my first relationship, so it's like, you know, you have all these feelings, and you're like, I wasn't like a creep or anything. It was just
no, yeah.
A lot of people were straight. Yeah, it was like just really, really weird. And
yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like you did anything wrong, really. Like it
either.
I mean, like I would say that the worst, like you could like somebody might say is like when she went on her first date, but it sounds like you had legit concerns. It was your first day, like on a break, you know, like, yeah, I can totally see you have like being a little like, okay, what's going on now?
It pretty much went, once I described a lot of this to some people, someone I actually knew who was a psych major, she immediately was like, this is borderline personality. I said, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, they're people who have a lot of trauma, and what they'll tend to do, especially with women, they'll meet a guy, they'll like fall deeply in love, at least emotionally, and in terms of physical intimacy, kind of kicks it all the way up as fast as possible. In some cases, they're engaged, or at least exclusively dating, very quickly. Unfortunately, some make it to marriage, and then something happens right after the marriage. Some such a small bit of doubt comes in, and they immediately doubt everything that has happened up to that point, and they will cut it off and run away. And so they're men who have, whether they've devoted money, resources into relationships, bought houses, bought cars, got into debt that they were hoping like they would work together to like resolve. Let's say they put together like money, put a down payment on a car, and they were going to pay it off together. She just ditches. Now it's his responsibility, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I was, I find myself fortunate enough that I didn't have to deal with too much. There was no binding anything. But it got to the point where I got tired of dealing with her, trying to get her to pay her share of the rent or the insurance. Eventually, I just got to the point where I would text her. I said, all right, I got the landlord involved. I'm signing you out of the lease. And then there was another thing where I texted her. I said, by the end of this month, I'm just going to cut off the insurance. You get your insurance or you don't. I said, because a gap in your insurance, fucks you over for your driver's car insurance, all this stuff. She even the whole breakup lasted all the way till July.
Wow.
This was a 6 or 7 month breakup process.
Yeah.
Which is weird. And so we, the last time we met, I basically called her out on everything. I said, I basically told her, So here's other things on top of that. So this guy died, and there was the funeral, the wake, and all that. Her name's in the thing for the fiance. Her profile picture on Facebook immediately changes to him and her.
Okay.
After he's dead. Damn. She starts writing multiple statuses in the middle of the night, apparently, of how much she misses him, how much she wants to be with him again. She can't live anymore. She was even texting me saying she wanted to freaking kill herself. And I'm like, what?
Damn.
Going nuts over this guy. Oh, that whole thing where I called her dad. She called me right afterwards and was like, why do you want to talk to my dad? I was like, because I want to say bye to him because I actually liked your dad. Yeah. She's like, why is that any of your business? And I'm like, well, I said, why is it any of yours? It's a conversation between him and me. You're not part of this. And she goes, oh, well, I just don't think you should go talk. I said, why am I going to talk about you? It's not about you. I just cut her off. Yeah. We lost Maya.
Oh, we did? Shit. She just came on the cam too.
Maybe she got disconnected.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it just.
She said she'll be in and out.
Oh,
the last troubleshoot her camera.
The last time we met, I basically called her out. I said, why do you think it hurt so bad when that guy died? Why did you have such an emotional thing? She was like, well, because I loved him. I said, no, you didn't. I said, you knew the guy 3 weeks. I said, if I died 3 weeks after you met me, you'd feel the same way. And she was like the whole waterworks is coming out. And I'm like, no. And I even told her, I said, you don't deserve to go meet anyone else if you're going to hurt them like this. I said, for how long you were still, I was still paying the rent while your name was still on the lease. For how long I could have, I kept you on the car insurance so that you didn't have to deal with it, the gap in insurance. For how long you have your stuff still in my apartment. I said, I could have thrown all your stuff onto the street and told you to come pick it up. I could have cut off your insurance so you would have a gap. And I don't have to tell you. It's your problem. I said, I could completely discredit you and dishonor your name all over social media and be completely justified in my reasoning. I said, but I didn't do any of that. I said, I even like joked. I said, I could have been really nice. Take all your stuff, put it in a box, ship it to your dad's house on UPS, and bill you for it. Just to be real special.
Yeah.
She was just like, she couldn't believe it. And
I do want to, real quick, just to jump in, I want to address something from the chat and I think this might directly relate to, you're talking about how, like, the both of you, welcome back, Maya, the both of you were, like, very religious, in your beginnings and stuff like that. Somebody had asked, let me pull this up so I don't butcher it. Do Christian people have more successful marriages? And I'm going to pull up some stats real quick, is that there is a sociologist from the University of Connecticut who did an analyzation of the whole thing. And he says of Christians, people who identify as Christians but rarely attend church, that 60% of those have been divorced. Of those who attend church regularly, only 38% have been divorced. So as I mentioned in the chat, I think there's a correlation between like keeping your faith and like even if the marriage goes sour, that doesn't necessarily mean the marriage is successful just because they don't get divorced. I feel like a lot of religious people stay together specifically because they feel like getting divorced goes against their religion, and their religion is more important than anything else. So they stay together for that fact.
You have a lot of reasons people tend to stay married and still be unhappy. People could stay married because of kids, but they don't have sex anymore. There's none of that. But then you have on the flip side, you have Christians who believe very strictly in the sort of zero sex before marriage thing. And once they get married and they have sex, they have zero compatibility in the bedroom. You have a lot of these problems that these religious things don't really address or allow for. So you might have a lot of these Christian relationships where the guy is like, you have, heterosexual man and woman getting married. And because of all this built up just religion, they'll have a lot of like really weird issues. I mean, you hear about all these anti-gay pastors in the Bible Belt that get caught with gay porn, male escorts, and pedophilia.
Yep.
And they're, if anything, they're the guys who are essentially keeping the faith the most. But they're still having these really twisted marriages. So there's this.
Maya, do you have any kind of opinion on that? Like, since we're off topic a little bit about the church and marriage, I don't know if you might have a unique perspective on that or not.
I don't know. I'm not really.
I honestly don't know how much like your. By the way, I love the shirt. I don't know like your background, honestly, when it comes to that. I don't know if you ever had any religion growing up or if you came in or out of anything. No. Really. Okay. Makeup looks great, by the way.
And I couldn't. Apologies about the camera. I couldn't completely fix it. Basically, what I do in order to like make it look like I'm not like looking down past the camera because it's like kind of above me. I have it like pointing down, and then I like pan it up digitally in the settings, and I couldn't do that with Google Hangouts for whatever reason. So I'm changing the field of view a bit, and that's the best I can do, but you can still sort of catch the top of my isolation shield because of that. So
that's good. We'll forgive you. So no, that was a good question from the chat though. It was kind of interesting to think about that. And,
Christian relationships are essentially held together by obligation, than by genuine desire, passion, and commitment. Because there are people that want to be together because they're drawn together. Whereas with Christian marriages, it's drawn together a lot by sort of an obligation.
Like for me, and I will say too, like I grew up in a church, and I knew a lot of people like married for a long time, lots of kids, and then there's a correlation between them kind of falling out with the church and then those couples getting divorced. You know, and it was like, oh, like, you know, they didn't have like maybe there was most likely with those relationships a lot of like tension and stuff, but there was an obligation to stay together for their religion. You know, like you don't want to go to a church and be going there regularly and like divorce be looked down upon, and then everybody be friends with you and your spouse, and then you and your spouse get divorced. People are going to look at you differently, and there's probably pressure from that. And I do feel like there's a lot of like religious people stay together out of obligation more than out of actual like love for each other. That's kind of sad. You know, it's kind of sad. Michael's joined us too. Welcome, Michael. How's it going, man?
How we doing, guys? Nice to meet. Who's this new person in chat again?
Well, Maya's joining us. She's actually been she's been on the channel a couple times before. So.
Okay.
Yeah, she's not new. She just hasn't been on the channel for a while.
New to me.
Yeah, new to you.
Yeah, I wanted to add, more so than religion, I think it's more about children, because, you know, I even know people in work who it's like, because of my work, it's very family-oriented. It's like you'll have the whole family, the parents and the kids together. And it's like, I know a lot of them, you know, they hate each other, and they just stayed together to, you know, raise a nuclear family, which I think is really smart, because even in divorce case, you know, even though both parents are still there, it's still not the same as, you know, like living fully with both of them.
Right. There is a weird thing going on now where there's been a spike, a huge jump in divorce rates among middle-aged people, actually. So typical age groups for people whose children just graduated from high school or college, you're starting to see a higher divorce rate in those. So, and it starts to show that a lot of people are getting married and they have kids and they're held together just by the kids.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of it, yeah. But
then once they go off to college, they can be like, okay, you know, like that part's done. We can start moving on. Kind of like I was saying.
But let's bring it back to Maya though for her story, because I know
I would love.
We're already 50 minutes in.
Yeah. No, and well, just before we go into Maya, I do want to say, like Amos, I appreciate you kind of going into all that detail about your thing. It was a really good story. It was a really good, you know, it was interesting, and it's kind of like, you know, it's this thing where like you get into these relationships, and like I'm not sure if I'll actually have time to go into one of my stories tonight or not. I could probably tell one of the quicker ones, but it is interesting though how you can get into like a very deep relationship, see red flags for years and years, and then just kind of push them down a little bit. And then like it kind of comes up, and then you're just like, Jesus, what the hell? You know, it's insane. But
the brain fills in the blanks is what I've been told it is.
So Maya, I want to turn this over to you real quick. I'm going to just when I tagged a few people, like Maya was one of the people I tagged, and she sent me a couple screenshots, and she was like, well, is this, you know, something on what you're talking about? And it sounded kind of like a stalkerish type of thing going on from MythCon. So Maya, I'm going to turn it over to you.
It wasn't even really. It wasn't even really a stalker. It was just some creep. And like, I wasn't going to talk about it, but like, if you want like people to talk about like creepy stories, I guess.
Well, yeah, and I think it helps to actually bring stories like this to the front, because I think if we can like actually kind of make some of this stuff more accessible to like the public, and like stories like this where more people become aware of this kind of behavior and more against it, you know, it could potentially make some of these people feel less inclined to engage in such creepy behavior, because they know they could be outed and looked down upon by the public. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't. All right.
But yeah, I'll let you go. You know, start from whatever you feel like is a good beginning.
Okay, so this was during MythCon, and it was right after MythCon. I decided to stay another day after MythCon, just to sort of like hang out and like explore the city and just relax for a little bit. And So I reserved a hotel room for another night and did that. And like around, I guess 8 p.m., something like that, I decided I'm gonna go for a walk, like a really long walk, and I'm gonna look at all the city at night. It's gonna be really pretty. And it's gonna be really fun. And
just real quick, because I might have missed it. What city was this again?
Oh, Milwaukee. Sorry, MythCon, Milwaukee. Sorry.
Yeah, no, just making sure for the audience.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Milwaukee's scary at night, by the way. I've been there, but go ahead.
I didn't know. All right. So I go for like this walk, and I go to from the hotel that I was staying at to like the theater that MythCon was actually at, and I like just walked around basically, and I got Starbucks, which is there's a Starbucks sort of right next to the theater, and so I got coffee there, and then I start walking back, and as I'm going along this crosswalk and I'm crossing this like street, some guy like walks up to me, and I'm thinking he's like asking for money or something, and I don't have any cash, so it's a pretty easy thing to say, and it will literally be true. I don't have any cash. Sorry, I can't give you money. And instead he says, can I walk with you? And I said, I'm fine. And he ignores that and just starts like following me in this really creepy sort of way. And he starts asking me like all of these questions. Where are you from? What's your name? Where are you staying? Because are you from, he asked, and I lied where I thought I could get away with lying, or where I was sure that I could get away with lying. So like when he asked me my name, I said it was Maya, because I couldn't think of a fake name convincingly enough that I would know that he would believe me. So
do you think
he asked,
right off the bat, do you think he might have recognized you, or do you think he was just
he was just some creep. I don't think he had any idea what this was.
Okay.
He asked me at one point, are you from Colorado or something? And I just said, oh, yes. Because, yeah, I knew I could get away with that. I'm not from Colorado, by the way. But for some reason, he asked that. He also asked, where do you go to school? And he asked this in such a way that it didn't seem like he was talking about college. Like he was sure that I was in school and I wasn't at a job.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Maya, you look very young, so I could see somebody possibly mistaking you for that age, but that sounds very creepy.
Very, yeah. So eventually he actually asked flat out, how old are you? And so I just said, hoping, pretty sure that he would believe it, I just said, oh, I'm 17. And his response was, oh, that's okay, I'm 16. When he very, very clearly was way, way older than 16.
What age would you
eventually, like, I think he asked...
Just for reference, what age would you have guessed he was in? Like what age range?
Late 20s, I would say.
Okay.
Like not like super old, but definitely significantly older.
What was that, Michael?
I said maybe it was Jack.
Jack from Twitter?
No, Robin Williams.
Oh Jesus. Okay, no, I know what you mean now. Like looking older but being really young. Yeah. Sure, that was the case. Okay, go ahead, Maya.
But he knew that I didn't believe him, and then eventually, like after bugging me for a little bit more, he just, without a word, just turned around and walked back in the direction that he had been going previously, which was the other direction from where I was headed. So I walked like really briskly back to the hotel. The problem is he had asked me where I was staying, and I told him which hotel because I couldn't think of a convincing lie in time. So I'm just looking over my shoulder constantly, just really scared that he's going to come back, and just walking very briskly, trying to get to the hotel. And when I get there, I DM a couple of my friends who were also at MythCon, whom I knew were still there, and who were still at the hotel, just because I didn't really want to be alone at that time. And I tweeted about this on Twitter, and that's the screenshots I sent you, by the way, were those. I sent a couple of tweets on Twitter about what had happened, and I got some good suggestions. I'll get to that in a second. Basically, the problem is that the friends that I had messaged were doing exactly the same thing that I had been doing. They were like at the opposite side of the city, like sightseeing and stuff. So there was nothing they could really do.
Yeah.
So I got up to my hotel room and I locked the doors, and I got a reply to my tweets on Twitter that were tweets on Twitter. That's a little bit redundant. Okay. Saying you should just tell the hotel staff what this guy looks like, and they'll keep an eye out, and they should like keep an eye out for him if he like comes. And so I did that, and they were very helpful. They like literally took out a piece of paper and started like writing notes, and were really awesome.
Nice.
I also DM'd what?
No, I'm just saying that's really like nice. Like that's actually amazing that they would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, they were very awesome. And I also messaged another friend of mine who was not at the event, but I thought maybe she's dealt with some similar shit, or maybe she could like give me some advice on what I should be doing as well. Again, more on that in a second, because I had parked my car. There was only valet parking, and I didn't really want to deal with that at the hotel. So I parked in an adjacent lot, and I got a ticket to park it for 12 hours. And that was going to expire in a few hours, meaning I had to go outside in the middle of the night to go get another thing for my car. That was really scary because I didn't have anybody to do that with, but I did it and it was fine. But I finally, after the hotel had been notified and everything, I just like showered and got ready for bed and went to sleep. And the other, but I woke up and like, turns out that other person whom I had messaged was like, got back to me and was actually really helpful. She suggested that I get pepper spray, which I have done.
Did you have anything like that with? I was going to actually ask this later, but did you have any sort of self-defense items with you? Or
I had nothing.
But is that
absolutely nothing.
Since this incident, you've gotten pepper spray? And
yeah. Yeah.
Well, just for you and for viewers, just here's my personal thing. What I personally recommend is you can get pepper spray that actually looks like an ink pen. You just where you would take off the cap to write is where the nozzle. It looks like it. You could actually, and like I don't recommend attempting this, but I can guarantee it can get through airport security because they have no idea what it actually is. But there are many mace and taser items that are actually designed to look like non-threatening items. There are tasers that are designed to look like flashlights that clip to your belt. There are maces that are designed to look like lipstick, ink pens, all kinds of different things. So when it comes to self-defense, like if you don't want to feel like you're like, you have an item on you that's obviously a self-defense item, look into it. And if you guys really want, just like at @sarcasm_liberty on Twitter, I will send you links to where you can find some of this stuff, because yes, I have some of it. Like when my wife went to Chicago for a week for a school thing, I'm like, take some of this with you because Chicago's fucking crazy. But yeah, no, like it's something good. It's like, especially if you're going to be by yourself, it's good to have something, self-defense, even if it's just, if you can't do a gun, pepper spray and like a taser or something like that is always good to have. So I'm sorry for cutting you off there, but go ahead.
All right. I'm not sure what else I have to say.
But you didn't see him for the rest of the night?
No. Okay. I was just in my hotel. But one scary thing though is that the hotel staff recognized the person that I was talking about from the description.
Ooh.
So that was like, they said, yeah, we see him around here. He's here all the time.
That's creepy. That is creepy. And it sounds like from the stuff I've looked into, it sounds like kind of this typical like initial like behavior a lot of guys do, where they start asking specific questions, like, you know, like kind of trying to get information, you know, like how old are you? Like, where can I find you later? And it's one of those things, like, and like here, just not to like add on to any scary, like and like from those specific stories I've heard, it typically is like a sex trafficking thing. Because when they ask those questions of like, they're not trying to take you from that specific point in time, but they're gathering information where they can come and get you later, kind of thing. And if it sounds like somebody recognizes somebody like that, where they're obviously around doing that a lot, it kind of comes across as that. But I mean, I can't say for sure, but
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
that's really scary.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's a terrifying thought, like, because you don't know what could happen. But I'm like, I like stories I've read, like a lot of the sex trafficking ones, where either the person has been taken or thankfully hasn't been taken. They kind of come across like a lot of questions, and like the way a person just kind of randomly approaches them and wants to like is kind of pressing for specific information like that, like where like kind of seems like where they're trying to figure out where they're going to be able to find you later. Yeah, that's terrifying thought. Terrifying thought. I'm really happy, like, you know, you're here with us now. I'm like, there's, you know, nothing bad happened to you. But yeah, there's very scary to think what it could have been, especially like considering that somebody actually recognized, and this is obviously a guy that's out doing this kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah, that's on a whole nother level of craziness right there. Like I had this one friend back in the day, and it's like he would just like talk to like any random woman walking down the street, and like, you know, he'd come across him again, and then he'd try and talk to him again, and then they'd run away from him and be like, you know, what's going on? I'm like, dude, you can't just like do the shit you do. Like, all right, maybe your first attempt, all right, whatever, but you can't just like, I mean, he's not like going after them, but like he just like happens to see like, you know, the same girl walking down the street like twice. He'll holler at him twice. It's like, dude, you can't be doing that.
Am I turning up okay? Because I'm like my
good.
screen. All right, good. It's sort of being a little bit like I'm all right, good. Because on my end, it's not showing my face through the face cam.
Yeah, it's kind of coming in and out for me, but it doesn't even matter. We can hear you fine. That's the important part.
We always have sound problems here.
All right, good. I'll just turn off my camera. So, yeah, like, I mean, I don't have a problem with like approaching somebody and like trying to like start a conversation with them is one thing, but when somebody very, very clearly doesn't want to talk to you, and then you keep following them and being really creepy, and that's
a very clear problem, because if the person's kind of giving you clear signals that, hey, I don't want to have a conversation with you, and you keep pushing it, it's a violation. The other thing that I feel is creepy is when the person seems to be pressing you for information, which it sounds like this guy was doing. Like,
and that's not even something I noticed. I thought it was just being awkward and trying to find like something to like talk about.
Like there's specific like if I'm trying to strike up a conversation with somebody, like, you know, like I will try to find some common ground. You know, I'll ask questions that help me like find common ground. A lot of questions I don't ask, I don't push. Like, if I feel like the person's above a certain age, I don't push for asking their age, you know, because I'm like, well, you know, and if I'm just trying to have a conversation, if it's not like something where I'm interested in the person, I never ask somebody their age, because I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm just talking randomly. Here's an example. It was at a comic convention, and my kids were entering the cosplay contest. And for kids under a certain age, like, I don't know, it was like 16 and under, you know, you had to go into like the kids thing. So I got my two kids, and they're running around, and I'm standing there to like supervise them, you know, to help them get across on the stage and everything, walk across the stage like they do. So I'm standing there, and there was these two girls next to me, and I didn't recognize their costumes, so I asked them. I was like, "Well, what are you guys dressed as?" And they're like, "Oh, it's original characters. It's from a story we made." So I was, as a writer, I was intrigued, and I started talking to them for a while, and like eventually, I was just out of curiosity. I was like, "Well, how old are you?" Like, because I actually was, pretty impressed by their writing stuff. And they're like, "Oh, no, we're like 13." I was like, "That's actually pretty good. Being 13 and like what you guys have managed to do, what you girls have managed to do, that's pretty impressive." But like, I'm like, "Hey, as a professional writer, I am impressed by what you've done." And that was like the only reason I wanted to know their age, and it wasn't anything creepy.
Yeah.
But like, it was just a conversation because I was just standing there. I had nothing else to do. I was waiting. My kids were running around being crazy, like tackling each other on this giant floor. So it was just some people, and it was like, hey, they're like actually writing and drawing stuff. And I was like, I love that kind of stuff when kids are doing that. So yeah, it struck up a conversation. But I never pressed them for information. I wanted to know, like, I was more curious about what they were like, the only time I asked something about their age was I was more of like, it was just like, as somebody who's raising kids who like, I'm trying to raise them to like, my daughter is really into art. And now she's getting more into writing too. So I'm like, oh, like what age range are you where you are like able to get into something like that? I'm curious. It wasn't like, I tried not to be creeped, and they didn't seem like creeped out by it. They were actually like very like into the conversation, but like when you're having a conversation with somebody like that, you cannot come across as like pressing for information, asking what hotel are you staying at? How old are you? Like kind of questions like that out of the blue. That's creepy.
Yeah, because there's a way like information questions come up in conversation. Like if someone starts talking about like a band from like 30 years ago, like, oh, how old are you? Like, and
yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm here for the giant convention. Like, oh, where you saying that? Like,
yeah, no, exactly. There's appropriate like questions like and from the way Maya was telling the story, it doesn't sound like, these questions were natural at all. It sounds like they were more pressing questions. And if I'm wrong, Maya, correct me, but it does sound like they were pressing questions as opposed to natural questions.
Yeah, it was really creepy.
Yes. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. It sucks that anybody, like any ladies or anybody ever has to go through that. Like it's somebody just being that creepy. It's eerie to me, like I'm like, as a guy, I've never had to experience anything on that level. I've experienced my brand of like crazy lady, but I don't know, I had to be like that kind of level of like fearing for my own safety as much.
Yeah, and I will say,
yeah. Go ahead, Maya.
I just wanted to say also a big shout out / thank you to Shoe on Head for she was like the friend that I like DM'd, and I just wanted to say, if anybody isn't subscribed to her, you should be.
I seriously, if anybody watching this like from on my channel isn't subbed to Shoe already, I'm actually kind of ashamed. But June's great. I love June. I've never actually she's retweeted something of mine once, but like I've never had any like conversations with. I'm not on her radar. She's way like outside my realm. But yeah, June's great. I love June. She's an awesome person.
She was the one like person that I like messaged who was like, that's not to say anything about anybody else. Like there was only so much they could do, but she really I felt like she was there for me, and it really helped, even if she couldn't like have Wi-Fi until after I'd fallen asleep because she was flying back to Canada at the time.
She was there, right? She was there at MythCon, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine she's actually been through some scenarios like that in her life too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. June's like that kind of, I don't want to like sound stereotypical or anything. Like, June's a small person, she's a tiny person. So I feel like those kinds of creepers go after people like that I feel like they can physically dominate. So
that's comforting because we're the same height.
Yeah. And it sucks. It sucks that there's people out there like that. But hey, if you ever happen to be listening and you want to come on, if you have any stories, like I said before, I want to make this into a series. So, if for some reason you'd actually pay attention to me, and like I'm way too small to be on her radar, but That would be amazing. But that's really cool that she was there for you. It's great to have friends like that you can actually reach out to and are able to like give you that kind of comfort and advice and stuff like that. That's really great.
And actually, I wanted to say something on the fact that you were saying like, oh, like as a guy, you don't know how to deal with that. I mean, this isn't like a big deal. I'm not gonna like make a huge fuss about it. But one time I was, I was an old punk rocker, so I was like 14, 15, like getting drunk in town and like coming home late. So, anyways, like one time I, get off the bus and a little bit down from my neighborhood. Like this guy just randomly comes out of nowhere, like starts talking to me, and like he puts his arm around me, and I'm just thinking, he's just some drunk guy being like stupid and friendly.
Did you say what age you were already? I can't.
I was
like
like
14, 15.
14. Okay,
14,
thank
15,
you.
something
Sorry,
like
I
that.
missed that. My bad.
It was before I had a beard. And I'm a small guy, so it's like I looked younger than I even was. So, I'm coming home, drunk from a night in Boston. I think I was at a show or whatever. And, this guy comes over, like, starts talking to me, like, puts his arm around me. And I'm just thinking, like, oh, like, this guy is just, like, coming from the bar, like, walking the same way, like, just being drunk and friendly. And, like, he invites me into his house to fool around. Like,
oh, Jesus.
So,
that's creepy.
I have a knife, like, right in my fucking pocket. So I just fucking leg sweep the guy because he's not that much bigger than me, and I'm like, if you ever approach me again, I will slit your fucking throat.
I can see you doing that, Mike. I was just honestly.
I'm a little badass. I've grown up since then. I try not to like pull knives out on people anymore, but.
You're libertarian. You're allowed to. No.
Yeah. Well, I was a punk rocker before I was a libertarian.
Yeah.
Which is like that's building blocks.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, guys. Like, I was hoping to keep this to an hour, but we were going over a little bit. I'm gonna tell one story. It'll be really quick, like a couple minutes, and then I'll call this one. What's that?
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say one comment that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I've never been afraid to walk like around alone sort of at night until I was given a reason to be afraid. And I wasn't given a reason to be afraid until MythCon after I transitioned and all of this. And that's not to say it doesn't happen to like, it obviously happens to people of both sexes, but it is a thing.
Yeah. I do feel like, I kind of feel like it's an obvious when women are going to be more vulnerable to it because it's typically men that are kind of the more like creepy ones doing that kind of stuff. I do feel like a lot of the stories men are going to have, and like I will tell in my story in a sec, like are on a different type of level of insanity. Like they're both completely crazy, creepy, bizarre, psychotic people, but like one is more like where the men can be more like physically aggressive or like imposing in that way, and the women tend to be more like psychologically aggressive, if that makes sense. That's been my experience, at least. I've never felt physically afraid of a woman, but I've like legitimately avoided places where I thought a specific person was going to be, because I'm like, I do not want to run into her because she's going to like just. I don't want to deal with that kind of crazy, but I do feel like, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to sound sexist, but yeah, like men are typically bigger than women. It makes sense that men would be more physically imposing, women would be more psychologically imposing.
That's not sexist though, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this one woman that always walked around Harvard Square back in the day, and she was like a 7'2" Arab woman. The craziest thing I've ever seen. Like she would be there like every day, so it was just like, you can see that giant freak in nature like on a daily.
Jesus.
It's like the great copy as a woman.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna tell my story real quick, and then I'll draw this one string to an end. But I do want to say I plan on making this a series, hopefully a weekly series. Follow me on Twitter @sarcasm_liberty. to get an update on that. Maybe we'll make this a regular Sunday night thing for whoever wants to join in the future if you have a story. Here's one crazy story, and this is probably my shortest one. I gave Amos a little preview of this one before we went live. Now, before I actually met my wife, I was in between like my previous relationship that went on for a couple years, and I was still in the Army at this point, and like all of my friends had deployed. I was stuck back in the rear because my back was all fucked up and I couldn't go overseas. So I'll be honest, I was bored and I was lonely because I didn't have any of my usual friends around. I didn't have like a girlfriend to talk to. I had nothing. So I would go online and just, talk to people. And this one chick I started talking to, and here's the thing, I met her, and here's a fun fact for people. I actually met my wife that I've been married to, that I've known we've been together for 10 years, married for 9, and have 2 kids. We met on hotornot.com. Fun fact.
I know.
Go ahead, Maya.
Marcus and Sue, like Count Dankula and his fiance met on Tinder, apparently.
Nice. No, that's cool though. I mean, I actually used to make fun of people who met on like legit online dating services, and then I met my wife on hotornot.com of all places. This is stupid as shit. But no, I actually met a lot of people on there, and that's usually where most of my crazy that I've had my interactions with came from. So this particular lady that I met on hotornot.com that I'm going to say this, it's supposed to be a site that's for 18 years and older. So this one person I start talking to, and we get to talking back and forth for a little bit, just random, I don't know, just stupid shit. And then she eventually just kind of randomly wants me to go and leave from North Carolina, take a plane to Wisconsin, and spend 2 days there and get her pregnant. I'm like, yeah, no thanks. I can just see. Yeah. I'm like, nope. That could go wrong in so many ways. One, I don't want whatever diseases you might have. I didn't say that to her, but that's what I was going through my head. So I'm like, that requires sex without a condom. And yeah, I'm not taking that risk. 2, I don't want to end up paying child support to some fucking random person in Wisconsin I had sex with. Because I don't know how crazy you are. I don't know you that well. I've talked to you for 2 days. Yeah, so it's just no, not going to happen. Sorry. What?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm just wondering what the motivation is of somebody to do that instead of going to a sperm bank, unless they legitimately want to screw somebody over. I don't know.
I am going to give you the answer to that right now, Maya. I found out a couple days later, after I kind of stopped talking to her, that she was actually 16. Not yeah. I was like,
how old were you?
At the time?
Yeah.
22. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't do anything creepy earlier. Thank God I didn't do anything really weird. Oh, that would have been so bad.
You would be in a whirlwind of Me Too's.
Yeah. I don't know if she legitimately was just trying to I'm not sure what her motive was, because when I would talk to her, it seemed like she really wanted to just have a kid. I was like, that just seems really bizarre to me, to be 16 years old, so desperate that you want to have a kid, that you want some guy to fly over to your state and just fuck you for a whole day and donate as much as free sperm as you can get, and then hopefully never see him again or something. That's the deal she was trying to propose to me, and I was like, nah, I'm not up for that, sorry. And yeah, that was creepy. But especially finding out oh, I'm actually 16. I'm like, I'm actually never going to talk to you again. Yeah, that's one of my. Yeah, I got a couple more, but that's my probably the one I think I felt the most grossed out by. Honestly.
Josh walks into the house. Hi, I'm Chris Hansen. Oh no!
See, but here's the crazy thing is like I don't know the Wisconsin. Like it's actually funny because I didn't actually know this at the time, but in most states, like 16 is actually I'm not even sure about Wisconsin or North Carolina where I was. Yeah, the age of consent is actually 16 in a lot of states.
My presumption is that it isn't. Is that it's 18 in Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
Thank God, because otherwise that whole "I'm 17" thing wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
You want to see something really screwed up? Go check the age of consent laws like internationally, especially in like the Asian and African countries. Like most of the developed countries, it's like 16 and up.
Just Maya, real quick. It is 18 years old in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
All right.
I just looked it up.
See, depending upon
I didn't know that, and I didn't even think that. Oh shit! What if it's 16 and I should have actually lied and said that I was 15?
Going to say, what if she was in a different part of Wisconsin? You just hopped over to Minnesota real quick.
No, because she's a resident. I think the law is like she's a resident of Wisconsin, so it would still. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Or would it become a federal crime because you crossed the border?
It probably would be. But here's the funny thing. Here's the really funny thing. My wife is from Wisconsin. Like about an hour away from where this chick lived. I'm not joking. It was really weird. I was a little hesitant. I was like, "Oh, Wisconsin, huh?" No. No, that was weird. I'm glad like nothing creepy ever like went down with that. Cause and that's where like seriously people, like if you're gonna go like online and do stuff, be careful because people are fucking crazy, and like somebody could be like, oh yeah, I'm 18. It doesn't mean they're 18 just because they typed it in chat, like be careful.
Right.
Be careful.
I've actually thought to myself, if I ever come across someone that's like 18, and let's just say it was like, okay, like, well, I want you to whatever. It's like, no, we'll go on a date. And if we go there, I'll just be like, let me see your ID.
Right.
It'd be like the most awkward thing. It'd be like, do you want, like, even just the date? I'd just be like, do you have ID?
Yeah. No, I do feel like I think like if somebody's like claiming to be 18 and you have a suspicion, I would hope that a girl could at least like understand why you would ask to see ID. But Maya,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're gonna take her on a date, you could just take her somewhere where she'll get carded, and at the very least, you'll know she's 21 or not.
That's a good idea, actually, because even then, if you just propose like going to somewhere where you need to be 21, if she's not 21, she'll be like either she'll say, oh, I'm under 21, or she'll be like, oh, I can't go, I'm such and such age. So you at least can kind of get your foot in the door there, like confirming an age.
Well, nowadays, like you need like a complete like contract and everything with all the allegations. So like you have to have everything in writing. You have to have the social security number present.
There's an app for that.
Really?
It's coming out soon. There's an app for sexual consent.
That was a gag. Okay. That was a gag on Dave Chappelle.
Yes, I was about to say. Chappelle's show called that so long ago.
Oh, and wasn't I don't even know that because I don't watch like a whole lot of but wasn't like I consent a thing as well? Like
it might have been, but I remember like there was a specific sketch, it had Rashida Jones in it, and there was this whole thing of like she had to sign this contract before they did anything that they would have sex. And then like afterwards, it was implied in the sketch that like he came early. And then he made her sign another contract saying that she wouldn't say anything. And she's like, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. He's like, oh, I know you won't, because I'll sue your ass.
There was, I mean, South Park did the whole PC principle thing where the fraternity had to turn in consent forms.
Real quick, Maya, you laugh like a polite Japanese girl. Just you do the little hand over your mouth thing when you're laughing. I'm sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I notice every time you laugh, you immediately cover your mouth. It's okay. Feel free to cover your face.
So,
I'm sorry for she went off. Oh, I did it now. I'm sorry. It was cute. It was cute. Like I kept noticing every time you had a little chuckle, you covered your mouth, and I was like, oh. She's never gonna come on cam on any of my shit.
No. But yeah, there is Brooke actually sent this to me, a consent form app or something to look over. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, it's still in a developmental phase, but what you would do is if you were near someone and you're about to, if you're near someone and you're talking to them, you could actually get their name and swap consent contracts. It was just what?
It's sad that we've come to that.
Well, nice little double entendre there.
God. Oh man. Okay. On that note, I think so I can go to bed because I got shit to do. And then Amos, you got another recording in a half hour, right? You want to plug that real quick?
Huh? Well, Think Liberty is having Shitlord Preachers on, so they're having us on their podcast recording. They don't stream theirs; they just record it. So so Mike, the Liberty Ginger, who runs your channel most of the time.
Most of the time, every Wednesday.
Him and I are going on there tonight to plug his podcast, and of course, moving Shitlord Preachers to there. So, I mean, we're still streaming, regularly, but they want us to kind of give them a more edited version, to with intro and outro music and stuff. So.
No, that'd be good. That'd be great for your channel. So, if anybody has anything they want to plug real quick, go ahead, Maya.
Okay. So I think I mentioned this, but I'm about to release my next video, and it's going to be about the data and society thing. I know it's really late. Sorry, but yeah, that's going to be up in hopefully a couple of days. The data and society, where they do that. What's the friggin' name for it? It's where they do the red lines and all of the connections between all of the people, and they end up finding.
Was it that alt-right map thing or whatever it was?
Yes. There's a term for it. I'm gonna forget. It's in my notes.
Yeah, it was connecting all the skeptic YouTubers and some anti-SJW people.
It's called a link analysis. That's what it was.
Okay. Just so you know, I did in the description, for anybody who's wondering, both Amos's channel, Shitlord Preachers podcast and everything is in the description. And then the next link under that is Maya's YouTube channel. So definitely go sub to both of those channels. Amos has had me on, they had me on a while back. And he's had a lot of great episodes of their show here and there. I haven't been able to watch all of them. I'm going to say here and there because that's what I've watched, because I am shitty at watching YouTube channels. But Maya's great too. I think your last thing was a month ago. But yeah, no, when she uploads, she does a great job. So yeah, go check out both channels. Check out Think Liberty on Twitter and Facebook. Just look Think Liberty, they'll pop up. I don't know that they have an actual YouTube channel. I know they have a podcast up, but you can find all that info on their Facebook page. So no, I want to thank my guests, Amos, Maya, Michael. Thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate, especially Amos and Maya, for sharing your stories. That was absolutely great. Michael, I appreciate your input and coming in towards the end there. It was, loved having you guys on. That was so great. For those of you watching now or in the future, I do plan on trying to make this a series, possibly a weekly series or like a bi-weekly series. We'll see. Hopefully I can get more guests on that'll, talk more stories. I have a couple more crazy people stories, some that are longer. I would say the next two I have are longer than my crazy, like, come have sex with me and get me pregnant, I'm 16 years old story. But I have some longer ones than that. But and then maybe sometime I can get my wife to come on and do some like kind of psychologist, analysis of that kind of like just why people do these weird shit. Like they think it's actually going to like benefit them. I don't know.
You need like two 60-plus-year-old women wanting a threesome kind of story.
If somebody has that, get them on this fucking stream because that would be awesome.
I could probably find that.
Michael, you probably are that. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not a 6-year-old woman.
No, but you've had 60-year-old.
No, I'm saying you've been approached, not that you've done it. I've just saying you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I live in a crazy place, man.
Okay. Well, okay, we're gonna go off here in a sec. I just want to again thank my panel. You guys are amazing. And then for those of you watching, if you're not subbed already, make sure you sub. Make sure you go sub to Shitlord Preachers. Go sub to Maya's channel, and then follow us on @sarcasm_liberty on Twitter to get updated on when we're gonna do more of these streams. All right. Good night, everyone.